Imagine saving over $3,400 and 2 years of your life just by watching this video. If I had this knowledge at the start of my FPV journey, it would have made all the difference. Whether you're an FPV beginner or a seasoned pilot looking to monetize your drone flying skills, this video is exactly what you need. I will share 5 crucial lessons from my 5 years of FPV experience. This video will cover how to price your FPV services effectively, essential FPV gear for making money with FPV, choosing between ready-to-fly versus self-built FPV drones, preventing expensive crashes with a reliable signal loss routine, and the fastest way to start earning money with your FPV drones. And at the end I will also reveal the best drone insurance for FPV, so definitely make sure to stay until the end. Let's get into it. I started with FPV in 2019 and I had a ton of problems, to be honest. So, first of all, or basically all my problems started with having 2 main problems. First one is, I think, the classic one, no FPV knowledge. I want to start into FPV, but I have no clue about it. Yeah, that's a big problem, right? And the second one, I also had no network. So no network of like-minded pilots I could share some insights with, or I could just ask for help, you know? I unfortunately didn't have this, and that caused for me personally a lot of big problems, to be honest. All in all, I wasted $3,400 on bad gear, unnecessary crashes, and also fail-safes. So fail-safe is when you just lose connection to your drone, and most likely you will crash because of that. That is not so nice, you know? And also I had 0 clients, also 0 followers on social media. So yeah, I literally started from 0 in 2019. It basically took me literally 2 years to making my first $700 with flying FPV drones. So my first money I made in 2021. Yeah, I was honestly, maybe you don't know this, you know, from seeing my shots and my stuff now on Instagram or YouTube, but I was really insanely shit at FPV at first, you know? Yeah, that's just the way it was, you know? And yeah, to keep it short, I wasted tons of money and also tons of time. So yeah, that's why I'm here today and share my learnings, you know? So I hope you don't have to do the same bullshit as I did, you know? So let's get to now, in 2024, the solutions. Because it took me 5 years to finally figure out all the solutions, you know? And we have, I basically solved my 2 main problems, which was I got the FPV knowledge. I just did it by trial and error, you know, that's basically why it also took so long, because I really had to figure it out all by myself, as I just got nobody helping me, you know, and that's also why I do this. So you have this kind of helping hand, which is basically I try to be, you know, because I never had one. So I kind of, help you as I'm seeing my younger self as you guys are now, you know? Maybe it's understandable, maybe not, but that's my basic mission here. And I also just found the needed network of like-minded pilots to actually grow together with, to exchange the learnings with, and basically to grind on the same goal together, because alone it's just not so much fun. You have no motivation, you know, it's just not so much, it's not so cool as having like-minded pilots around you. And that kind of got me where I am today. I'm basically a full-time FPV pilot working for global brands like E6, BMW, Samsung, and many more. And I'm really honored to finally being able to work with these cool brands, you know. Somehow I got there, you know. I have absolutely no clue how this kind of evolved this big, but somehow I got to 100k followers on social media, and all in all a total of over 30 million views with my FPV videos. That's just an insane number, and yeah, I'm really thankful for kind of reaching this, you know. That was, I didn't think a minute about this when I started with FPV, that this could get this big, you know. And yeah, and finally I'm also getting clients to pay me actually $1,500 for 1 day of flying my FPV drones, which is my current day rate, you know. So it's not only a hobby and a passion anymore, it's basically my profession and my full-time living, doing what I love. And yeah, I'm just overall happy to actually do this. And yeah, again, to keep it short, I'm living my dream lifestyle. I get paid to travel around and flying FPV. That's just insane. And now it's kind of my mission, also sharing you guys all my knowledge for basically my younger self, you know, exactly what I would have needed, but back in 2019, to actually just save all that money I wasted and get way faster from like, yeah, point A to point B to my full-time living right now, you know. So here we go in this video. So first business mistake, problem was I thought I need better gear, more drones, or even cine lifters to actually make money or to make more money. This couldn't be further from the truth. Time wasted, as said before, was like 1 year. This was basically bullshit, you know, the solution. It is literally, you need a basic FPV drone setup. So of course, at least one drone. The best is actually having one main drone and one second drone as a backup. It's the best setup is literally something between 1 to 4 drones. 2 is at least recommended, so you have like a backup drone. And this can be fully regarding to your niche. For example, if you are only flying indoors, you don't really need a 5-inch to start making money, you know? Therefore, it's already enough to have like one naked GoPro setup with like a sub 250 gram Cinewhoop and maybe a backup drone with an O3 air unit in case your first drone, whatever, is crashing, is not working anymore. So you also can pull this job, and yeah, that's it, you know? So, of course, I thought, you know, I need these bigger guys to actually make money, to be professional FPV pilot, to need bigger drones, bigger cameras. And honestly, you know, this drone made absolute zero money right now. Okay, this is a bad example because I've actually not even tested this one yet, you know. But to be honest, most cine lifters, it's like not generating my most amount of money, you know? The literally best drone I'm almost using every time is this one. So it's like a classic 5-inch, you know? This basically generates like 50, 80%, something like this of the income, you know? And that's it. So please don't invest, or don't think you need to invest into bigger drones and bigger cameras to make money, because it's just not the case, you know? And again, you know, it's not really about the gear, it's more about having the skills to making money. So the one skill is actually flying FPV drones. The second skill is money-making skills, you know, finding clients, negotiation, and how to sell your FPV service. It's way more important to make money than actually the gear itself. Let's continue with number 2, which is a beginner mistake. And the mistake was, it was fully starting with building my first drone. And as you can see here, this is for real the first ESC I bought, and I sold it, and very badly sold it, these cables too, you know. For real, this is the first one. I had no chance to actually sell it. I completely bought the wrong electronics, you know? And yeah, you know, this is now lying around all the time for years, and I just wasted, yeah, $900 or euros, you know, in just having the wrong electronics, motors, also controller, to be honest. I also bought some pretty cheap goggles, never used them, so also wasted this. All in all, it was like $900, you know, and basically again, 1 year of figuring out how to actually build a drone, you know, how to solder, how to 3D print the camera mounts and stuff. Betaflight, dude, this was just so overwhelming at the start. And also you kind of need to understand how a drone is actually working to finally tune it and to make it fly pretty good, you know? And yeah, this was, please just don't do it, you know? Really, please start with a bite and fly drone. So basically like a ready to fly drone, like an iFlight Evoke F5D, which is like a 5-inch, you know, perfect to start with if you want to fly outdoors. And then you kind of get a feeling for a good flying drone, and you also kind of understand how drones are working, you know? And then if you want to build a drone, then like as the second drone to start with, you can building your own drone. But please don't do it right at the start. It's just completely overwhelming. You know, you need to learn Betaflight, soldering, maybe even 3D printing, tuning, all the Betaflight stuff, how a drone works. You know, it's just so much things to actually consider and learn, and it takes a lot of time to learn this, you know, and therefore you will have just way more fun if you buy a ready-to-fly drone and then figuring it out on the way how to build a drone than just needing like a few weeks and months to figure this out, and then you don't even know how to fly a drone really, you know. That's basically it. So please don't do it, and don't waste this money and this time. The next is a business mistake. Again, we have here the mistake I made was completely undervaluing myself, also doing like too much free work and not knowing how much my service is worth as an FPV drone pilot, you know. And therefore, yeah, I literally made too much free work, and I think all in all it was 100% more than 1,000 US dollars, because at the start I really just was way too cheap. So I basically had only like 50 to 80%. I was too cheap, you know, because I just didn't know how other pilots are pricing, what prices are normal in this kind of niche, you know. And yeah, therefore it was shit, because I just had to figure out, okay, how much are clients willing to pay. And you know, I just undervalued myself completely. So here is like the solution for you guys. So you can use like the following day rate ranges, which is basically here in this example for like GoPro, drone, FPV equipment. Also keep in mind I'm based here in Europe and my day rates are here in Germany, you know. It's also like usually the same as like in Austria, in Italy, you know. It's like in Europe these rates are quite good, but of course can differ a little bit from country to country. So please keep this in mind and think about this, you know. But as a beginner FPV pilot, you can definitely position yourself in the range of $500 to $1,000 for 1 day of FPV shooting. That being said, you know, 1 day is like 7 to 9 hours of work. Like this, you know, something in that range. So yeah, therefore everything starting in that is good as a beginner, you know. And then as an intermediate pilot, everything from $1,000 to $1,500 per 1 day of FPV shooting is a good range. And then we are coming to the very experienced pilot, I would say, which is basically starting from $1,500 or even more per day. So basically, you know, as a freelancer, you have absolutely no top limit. You know, if you can and if you find clients who are paying you like 10K for 1 day of FPV shooting, congrats, you just made it, you know, and yeah, so it's basically no limit. So I know pilots who are making like 2K, 3K, 4K a day, also for, of course, like bigger cameras with cine lifters, and sometimes also like teams of like 2 or 3 people, you know, but basically it's no limit to the top here. And actually my day rate, my current day rate right now is 1,500 euros, of course, for 1 day of FPV shooting with GoPro FPV equipment. Next one is again a beginner mistake. So the mistake itself was actually crashing too much by losing signal. Time and money wasted, basically, I would say at least $1,500 in crashes, in crashed FPV drones, burned electronics, burned batteries, all that stuff, you know. So I literally, yeah, it was pretty bad. So, and again, you know, I'm a cinematic pilot, so I'm not a hardcore freestyle pilot who is really flying like crazy and kind of even wants to crash, you know. I'm more like the cinematic pilot, so yeah, you can definitely learn how to less crash with this routine right here. And basically, the most important thing is actually, of course, learn how to not lose the signal at first. It's quite complicated, but the single most important indicator is that you imagine that you always maintain direct line of sight from your goggles to the drone itself, you know. So therefore plan the pilot's positioning before every flight so you can maintain this direct line of sight here, because that will literally is the cause of almost every signal loss. It's just because you have like a small mountain in between you and the drone, signal lost, you know? That's basically it. So therefore you can already prevent a lot of signal losses. And if you have a signal loss, it is important that you have a kind of a signal loss routine in your muscle memory. And if you just look at the frequencies of signal, of video signal and control signal, in 99% of cases you will lose video signal before control signal. This is because, you know, video signal has like a higher frequency and therefore a shorter wavelength than like the control signals, and therefore the control signals, which are most likely at 2.4 or gigahertz or 868 megahertz. So you basically, if you're using Crossfire or ELRS, you will literally have control signal also if you use video signal, if you lose it, of course. And therefore you can use that to your advantage, because if you're losing video signal, the first thing you should do immediately is switch to angle mode to actually stabilize the drone itself, you know? And then, depending on the environment you are in, if you, you know, kind of flew behind like a small mountain or something, and that is most likely like the issue, because the signal loss, you can just go in angle mode and just throttle up, you know? And therefore the drone hovers and increases its altitude, and it's most likely that it will get connection back after like a few seconds, you know? If it's not because of a hill, you can also try to just land, you know? So basically switch into angle mode, kind of remember like the throttling hovering value, at which kind of throttle you are hovering, go a little bit beyond that value, that throttle stick position. So you're just slowly lowering your altitude, and then that way you are kind of landing the drone safely, you know? And this is basically the best thing you can do, you know? It's, yeah, basically getting from some kind of worst case scenario of a signal loss to getting the biggest and best outcome of that shit situation, you know? And it's also quite important that you train this routine in like safe environments, outdoor, you know? For example, on a meadow, if you just, you know, land in grass or something like this, and don't panic when you lose video signal, you know? Don't get panicked and, you know, don't know what to do. Just train this routine, and therefore this will definitely save you a few crashed FPV drones and parts if you don't have this routine. So yeah, I had to learn this like the hard way, but there you can go and just implement this, you know? The next business mistake, which was basically not specializing and also not niching down. I just tried to basically do everything, you know? And this was the big mistake here, because I actually wasted like 1 year to actually, I wanted to build like the most broad portfolio, you know? And therefore, just doing this, you know, I just did so much free work as I wanted to basically do everything, you know. I just did free work for FPV car races, so car chasings, you know. Then I did free work for motocross chases, then free work for indoor drone tours, free work for hotels, free work for gyms and all that stuff. And I tried to build my portfolio for like 1 year, you know. And just as that before, you know, if I had this knowledge and not wasted this 1 year, I would actually make like 1 year of like my revenue I'm making right now, which is around 50K, just 1 year more, you know? It's not 1 year of figuring out, just 1 year of getting clients and making money. So this is definitely like the biggest learning when it came to actually like, you know, making money with FPV. The solution is there are some niches that are very hard to get into, and there are also ones who are pretty easy to get into, are also easy to monetize and has a big potential client base. Basically, a pretty hard niche to get into and to start with is, for example, Hollywood films, you know? This is nothing. You start flying FPV drones and after 2 weeks you will fly for like a Netflix movie, you know? This will not happen. But this is like a pretty hard niche, but there are also like pretty easy niches where you really don't need like years of FPV flying experience to actually make your first money. There are, niches that are pretty easy and fast to start with. And this, the best one to actually start with, is, in my opinion, indoor FPV drone tours. Because it's quite easy to do. You can also easy exercise this at home, at your house, whatsoever. And you have a big potential client base, you know? You can do this for hotels, for gyms, for restaurants, for bars, whatsoever, you know? Really a lot of potential clients, and you don't need like 10 FPV drones for this. It's fully enough to have like, recommended, it's really like 2 indoor cinewhoops. And also, you know, like 1 as a backup. So also if you right now only have 1 cinewhoop, you can do your first paid job with only 1 and then reinvest the money into your next backup FPV drone. And then you can already start actually making money with this, you know? And that's literally all you need. So please don't wait like a few years because you think, you're not good enough, you can't make money. That's just not true, you know? If people are interested in what you do and what you produce as a video, then you already can make money with this, you know? You don't need to be like, I'm not sure, the world's best drone pilot to start making money with FPV.